Stella's Meza. On today's episode, I will teach you how to make a mandazi. Now, what a mandazi is basically a kind of donut. It's a deep fried dough. And in one of my other tutorials, I showed you how to make a mahamri, which is a type of mandazi that has coconut milk to it. Now, this one does not have coconut milk to it, and this is what you'll need for it. Okay. Now, over here in a mixing bowl and a sifter, I'm sifting 2.5 cups all-purpose flour and 2 teaspoonfuls of baking powder, not baking soda, but baking powder. And to that, you will add a teaspoon of ginger. You'll also add a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of cardamom, just to give it that nice aroma and flavor. And I add a 1/4 teaspoon of yellow food coloring to mine. If you do have saffron, you can add a couple strands to it just to give it that nice flavor and color, or you can skip that. And also some freshly grated nutmeg. And to give it a little bit of a twist, I add a teaspoonful of pure vanilla extract. Now, you'll also need 3/4 cup granulated sugar, and you will need 1 lightly beaten egg. Okay, and I think we've covered that. Now, as we proceed, you will need a rolling pin, and you also need, you can cut it into any shape you want. I use like cookie cutters just to give it nice shape. You can use a circle, whichever shape you prefer, you can use that. And you also need measuring spoons. You will need a measuring cup. Very important to knead the dough. You will need 1 to 1.5 cups milk. Now, I say 1 to 1.5 cups because it's not precise. As you go along, you look at the texture and see. You want the texture of the dough to be not too sticky but pliable, okay? Not sticky on your hands but pliable, and then you'll know that you've reached the right consistency. And also over here I have on medium heat 4 cups of cooking oil. I use canola to fry the mahamris, but that's going to come down the line. So right now we're going to sift this. Just sift it and make sure it catches everything in there. You can see a cloud of dust as you work. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. And then I start working with the dry ingredients first. I'll add the cardamom. And I'll add the 1/4 teaspoon of pinch of salt just to balance the flavors. And then to that, I'm going to add the cinnamon. Now, you can use your stand mixer if you'd like, but I just use my hand. I find that easier. So I'm going to put a teaspoon of this. Remember, you want to give it a nice flavor, a nice aroma. So don't go overboard. Okay, just you want to taste that in there. Just you don't want to taste only that. You want to make sure everything's nice and balanced. And some ginger. Okay. I'm gonna grate some fresh nutmeg in there, just a tad bit, not that too much. I find that fresh nutmeg has a better taste than just the powdered kind. Okay, and then I am going to add a little bit of this yellow food coloring, or at this point you can add saffron, or you can skip it all together. So I'm going to do 1/4 teaspoon, just to give it that nice yellow on the inside. Okay. And then we're going to mix that together. You can use a whisk or you can use your hand, whatever you prefer. Whatever gets the job done. And mix those up first. In the bowl. Alright, and then at this point I'm going to add the sugar, 3/4 cups. Granulated sugar. I mean, I can already smell some of the spices I put in here, so I can imagine what it's going to taste like once it's done. Now, this is great to eat as a snack, or you can drink it with eat it with a cup of nice masala tea, which is what I'll do this morning. And we eat this a lot in Kenya. Breakfast, 10 o'clock tea, 4 o'clock tea, any kind of Kenyans, we like our tea. So anytime this tea, you can bet that there's going to be some mandazi to go with it. Alright, now I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla in there. You can skip this if you like, but I find that it adds a little extra something to my mandazis. I'm going to make a well in the middle here. Actually, I'm going to grab my butter from the fridge and then I'll come back. I forgot to say 3 tablespoons of butter. So I'll be right back. Let me grab my butter. Welcome back. Now, right before I took that quick break, I went ahead and grabbed some butter. Now, I've forgotten to put that on my list of ingredients, but you will need 3 to 4 tablespoons like cold butter. So what you're going to do, I cubed mine up to make it easier to handle, and you're just going to work it into the flour. You're just going to create a crumble in there. It's going to look like white peas in there, but you want to make sure it's all disintegrated in there. You just use your hands to kind of, see that? Break it up. You can use this, or you can use dough blender, but it's not pie crust, so you're not worried about the butter melting. You just want to break it up in there. Make sure you get it good. It's easier to do this with cold butter as opposed to room temperature butter. So use that, please. Okay, you want to make sure it's all broken up in there. No more little particles, just everything's gone in there. Alright, now, when I finish cooking these mandazis, you'll see what I do. It's something I came up with. We don't necessarily do it in Kenya, but I'm going to use that brown paper bag on the side. I'm going to put a tablespoon of cinnamon, a tablespoon of sugar, of confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar, and then I'm going to mix it up in there. And then once I'm done cooking the mandazis, when they're still hot, I'm going to drop them in the bag and shake it up just to lightly coat it. You can either do that, or you can use a sieve or a small sifter to sprinkle it with powdered sugar, or you can eat it just as it is. Okay, so we're coming along nicely here, and the particles are disintegrating. There we go. All right, and then to this, I'm going to create a well in the middle and add the eggs, or the egg, and then I'm going to use milk to bind it all together. Let's see what it looks like. See that? Come closer. Look at that. That's what you're looking for. Where the lumps are not big, but the butter is all integrated into the flour. Okay. Okay. Now, here comes a whale. Put the egg in there. Okay, mix it up. Easiest way to get everything all mixed up is churn. As you mix it, turn the bowl around, the mixing bowl. That way you get every part of it. And you can see the little balls trying to form again. That's just the eggs attaching to the flour. Now you knead this and then let it rest for 30 minutes. That way you activate the dough when you knead it, and then you activate the gluten, which is a protein that's found in flour, while you knead it. And then when you let it rest, it just makes the dough nice and soft and pliable. So you're going to let it rest for 30 minutes after you're done kneading it. All right, there you go. So I'm going to start adding the milk a little at a time. Remember, you can always use your stand mixer or your hand mixer. Just make sure you put on the hook attachments to do this. Now you can see the yellow food coloring that I put in there. You can see it come through in the flour and the dough. Oops. Now I love kneading my dough, guys, because for me it's like being a kid again, bringing those memories of playing with Play-Doh. A lot of people think, oh, that's so messy. I don't mind it. Really, I find it very therapeutic. Okay, it's starting to come together. Now I am going to need a spatula or some kind of spoon. Just grab it. Kind of loosen it off my hands so I can keep kneading it. But I know you don't want to watch this to its entirety because it takes a bit of time. So I'm going to take a quick break and I'll show you what the finished dough looks like. So don't go too far. Be right back. Welcome back. Now, right before the break, I was kneading the dough, and we put some all-purpose flour, baking powder, sugar, spices, a little bit of food coloring, an egg and some milk, and this is what we came up with. I was kneading it, and I'm going to lift it off here. Now, it should be soft, but not sticking to your hands. You want to see that? You touch it, but it doesn't leave any dough on there. So we're going to form it into a ball, and then let it rest for 30 minutes. Let that gluten work its miracles in there, and then we're going to cover it, put it in something that you can cover. And then we'll be back to shape them and fry them, and then taste them. So we'll see you in 30 minutes. Welcome back. Right before the break, I kneaded the dough. We let it rest for 30 minutes. So what I did is I went ahead and flattened the ball of dough that we'd formed earlier on a rolling surface, a clean surface with my rolling pin, to about 1/4 of an inch thick. And then I went ahead and used cookie cutters that I had and a knife to make different shapes for the mandazi. You can use a knife if you like, whatever shape you'd like. And this is the result. So I went ahead and cut some in squares and some in circles. Some I made into flower shapes, and that is a scrap of dough. I believe that no pieces should be left, you know. Do not waste anything. So you want them to run this thickness. See that? Okay. So I've gone ahead and fried some of them. Now these are the last ones. So I want to let you know how it is I know that my oil is ready to cook. I save a piece of dough and I drop it in the hot oil. I have this on medium, a little bit higher than medium. The dough should sit down at the bottom and then raise after a while. It should not just come up straight up, because that'll mean your oil is too hot. And what will happen if the oil is too hot, the outside will be cooked, but the inside is going to be doughy. So you want the inside to cook through. So you let the oil be to a temperature where if you drop the bowl of dough in there, it's going to sit for a few seconds and then rise up. So we're going to get that out of there. And then I'm going to show you how to fry the last batch. Okay. So you want to drop them away from you. Now be very careful, because the dough does splatter. It could burn you. So down and away from you. Okay. And do not overcrowd the frying pan. Give them room to cook. I want to put like 5 or 6 at a time. Alright. And then you just want to use your strainer to move them around. And you want the sides to be nice and brown before you flip them over. Now I'm going to show you some that I finished over here. That's the color you're looking for. And then I'll let that cook. We'll walk over here and I will show you the finished item. Actually, in the spot here, I have some masala tea brewing. It's just some milk, a little bit of water, black loose tea leaves, cardamom, cinnamon, ginger, a little bit of cloves in there. So the tea is delicious. That's why every time I talk about masala chai, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to enjoy that later with this. But I want to show you what the finished item look like. You can add powdered sugar over top of it, or in this bag, I combined 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of confectioner's sugar, which is also just icing sugar, and then you put it in a paper bag and give it a good shape. Woo! Give it a good shape. That way they're coated and you can pull them out, so they have that extra flavor. If you'd like, you can add into the bag like orange zest to give it just a little extra special something. Look at that. See that yellow food coloring I put in there? The outside is crunchy, the inside is spongy. Huh. Oh my God, it's good. That is so good. And I can't wait to enjoy it with my tea or masala chai. So I'm going to stop here. Let me finish that batch in there. And I hope I've inspired you to get into the kitchen and try something new. Don't be intimidated by the name. A lot of times, or most times, it's delicious. So join me next time as I take your taste buds on another culinary safari. And this right here, this is safi. That's Swahili for neat. Oh, fantastic. See you later.